Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome back to the Formula 1 2014 Ferrari Career Mode on the Xbox One. And today it is time for the last race of the first half of the season before the summer break. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix, the Magyar Nagydíj 2014. Sure, that's got to be something like the Hungarian Grand Prix in Hungarian, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, it's around the Hungaroring, the 14-turn, 2.7 mile circuit, 18 laps of racing today. It's become renowned as a tight and twisty circuit which has supplied some great races. Temperatures at the Hungaroring can reach 35 degrees centigrade, making the circuit very demanding on a car's cooling system. The track itself is low on grip and requires cars to use a high downforce setup. Well, in the last race in Germany we won the Grand Prix and we're on a really good run at the moment. It's fair to say that this is the first race probably since Spain where I'm not all too keen on the track. I mean, I'm not too keen on Monaco, but we managed to win in Monaco. We were pointless in Canada. We won in Austria, finished 6th in Silverstone, and then won the German Grand Prix. So we are on a brilliant run at the moment, which has meant that we are just behind the Mercedes driver of Nico Rosberg as we enter round 11. I mean, after 10 rounds, Lewis Hamilton is 56 points ahead of Nico Rosberg. It just feels like Lewis Hamilton is going to win this at a canter now, the championship. Every race that we haven't won in this run, he's won. He won the British Grand Prix, won the Canadian Grand Prix, at least I think he did. And I can't honestly remember the last time that Nico Rosberg outscored him. Of course, with us winning races as well in the interim and other things happening, then he's just lost more and more points to his title rival. And it's very much looking like a one-way street in terms of the driver's title for this year. But in terms of second, it is very close. We're only 7 points behind Nico Rosberg. Daniel Ricciardo a further 6 behind. It's very close between Alonso and Vettel for 5th and 6th. Now, if you did watch the end of last episode, you'll remember that we did have a contract offer from Red Bull. But I'm going to reject that contract. Very nice of Red Bull to offer it, but I mean, it wouldn't be realistic in real life, would it? You wouldn't up sticks from Ferrari to get to Red Bull. It just wouldn't happen. Certainly in real life, certainly at the midpoint of a season. Maybe at the end of the season it would be a possibility to move in real life, but it just seems unrealistic. So we're going to continue the adventure with Ferrari. But I do think in today's race that Red Bull will have the upper hand. Obviously, it is a tight and twisty circuit, and Adrian Newey's cars are always renowned for being very good on the aerodynamic package. So I think our team might well be third best today. So we might lose a little bit of ground in the championship. We've just got the measure of Red Bull at the moment in the Constructors by 7 points. So Red Bull might well go back above us today. But who knows? I didn't expect much out of the last race at Hockenheim. So who knows? You just can't expect what will happen. It's brilliant, I think, that it's been so varied so far this season. I've won a race, Ricciardo's won a race. I don't think Vettel or Alonso have actually won a race, which is a real surprise, actually. Those would be the two drivers from the respective teams that you'd expect to win the races. But nonetheless, we are leading our teammate at the moment. So is Daniel Ricciardo at Red Bull. So the tides are definitely changing at the top of Formula 1. But without any further ado, here is the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well, isn't this interesting? Look at this for qualifying. We're okay in this session. It's going to rain probably near the end of the session, but for the next two sessions, it will be absolutely tipping it down. Luckily, it's dry tomorrow, so this session might well be our only chance of dry running before the Grand Prix tomorrow. But because it's going to rain later on, we need to get out there nice and early and hopefully set a lap time. But qualifying could be very mixed, so we'll have to see what happens. As you can see in the teammate challenge, we're now level with Fernando Alonso on the race front. Of course, we are above him in the championship. Fastest laps is a big place where Fernando is getting the better of us. But in qualifying, we're clawing it back and on podiums as well. So we're doing well. We're doing well against Alonso. At the start of the season, it was a disaster. But I'm going to stop chatting because we do need to get out there nice and early, set some lap times, and hopefully get through. Because if it starts raining, well, it's going to be a race against time for who can get out there first. So I'm going to shut up. Let's get out there and set some lap times. Well, I have to be honest, our pace isn't brilliant so far. We're only in 5th place, and that's what, nearly over a second behind Daniel Kvyat, who's the pace setter at the moment. The big boys haven't come out yet, so that's why we're as high as 5th, but we've just had no pace in this session so far, which is very odd. Our latest lap is a slight improvement. We're half a second over past Maldonado, so we should be able to get through the session, but this is a little bit worrying, considering it's meant to be dry on Sunday, and we're just going to get the laps in here because I think we should be okay to get through the session, but equally we just need to do a little bit of training on our pace, or else we're going to be, well, even if we qualify on pole for the race, our pace will be abysmal on Sunday if we don't sort this out. So track time is definitely needed here, and hopefully we can get some improvement. Our times did improve. We improved our time by a second and we were safely through, but if we didn't improve, we'd have been right on the cusp. both the Lotus cars exit at the Q1 stage, but Sauber doing particularly well here. That's good to see. Gutierrez 12th and Sutil in 8th. That's really good pace from them. But the usual suspects go out. Jules Bianchi, and to be fair, actually, any of the cars, apart from Ericsson, who was way off the pace, Kobayashi, Chilton and Bianchi fairly well in pace with Maldonado and Grosjean. Whether that's something for them to worry about, I'm not too sure. But those are the usual suspects that go out of the session. Lewis Hamilton sets the best time by 0.3 of a second to Daniel Ricciardo. Then it's Alonso, Rosberg, then ourselves, and then the two Toro Rossos. But as you can see, the rain has well and truly started. So that grid could completely reverse, for argument's sake, in Q2. So this is going to get interesting, and we've got to be out there at the right time. Well, how things can change in a 20-minute period. Look at this. It was lovely sunshine, albeit maybe 15-20 minutes ago, and now it's crazy how much the grip has changed on this circuit. It just feels like a completely different circuit. I mean, you could say unrealistic. It's like a monsoon. It is. It's like a monsoon. Well, I just can't believe how much rain could fall in such a small amount of time. I'm not a master of geography. I'm not a geography lecturer, but I have to say that this is quite unbelievable. This is quite a smattering of rain, but we are out there nice and early in this session. We've put plenty of fuel in the car just to give us some stability as well. It's going to be important going into the corners where it's a low grip track anyway. It said that earlier. But I think this is only going to help Red Bull, you know. They're good on the aero, and of course in the wet that's needed all the more. So it'll be interesting to see how qualifying goes here. But there could well be some shocks, much like in Austria. We're going to have to go a little bit higher on the gears, I think, coming into the corners, because if we go low, obviously we're just going to get a load of tail spin on the back. A tail spin? Is that tail spin? Wheel spin. What was that? I was... Goodness knows. Tail spin? That's not a word. I don't know what I was going for there. Absolutely no idea. Anyway, let's focus on the driving, shall we, rather than talking rubbish. Hopefully we can set a lap time that's good enough for the top 10. But as I've said before, I'm going to preach this again and again. I think that we just need to be out there at the right time, and the car's pace should put us through to the next session. Let's see what the improvement is then this time round. We're about half a second up on our previous effort, but as you can see, Hamilton has beaten that by 2.5 seconds. So I hope that Hamilton's just set a monstrous lap and that everybody hasn't done that. I mean, yeah, John-Eric Verney's just ahead of us on lap time, but let's see what the lap time ends up as. Well, there's just no grip at all out here, but this is going to be a far better lap, I would say. 1:36.1, but that's still half a second off anybody else, and we've dropped down to 11th pretty much straight away, so let's hope conditions don't worsen, or else we're having an early exit from qualifying. Lap 3 time, then we are better than Massa, only slightly in that second sector, so we need to improve in this last sector. I think that's where we need the clear improvement, but it's half a second we've got to gain. I don't think we are going to gain. That's just clear as... Well, that's just pretty clear, isn't it, that we haven't got the pace in that last sector. Pretty much identical to the last lap, funnily enough, so at least we can say we're consistent, but... Well, this is getting worrying because the rain is still falling, so it's not like the conditions are going to get better. So we're going to do one more lap. We've got the fuel to do that, and we're going to have to come and fit some new tyres and maybe go for a lower fuel run, but we're going to struggle to get out of this session, I think. We've got to find at least half a second, which on any day is tough enough, but in the rain, especially when you've not found your feet, is mighty tough. So we might struggle, but that's a good first sector. But once again, you know, we've set these sectors before, so the second and third sector is clearly where we need to improve. I'd say it's sector 3 where we're losing all the time, wouldn't you? Sector 1 and 2 were fairly competitive. But yeah, sector 3 were an absolute disaster. 27.5, that's the worst pace apart from Esteban Gutierrez. So we're P15 in that aspect. But goodness me, I mean, half a second, that's going to be tricky, but... New set of tyres, hopefully that does it, but yeah, I mean, we're way off the pace, 2 seconds off Lewis Hamilton, so I can't see us being anywhere up the grid, but we just need to get through this session to give ourselves a chance, but it's going to be tricky, but we go out there again, new set of tyres, low fuel, and hopefully we can get through. Well, this has been a good lap so far, 7 tenths up on our previous attempt, so we need to just back it up in this third sector as well. I think we're struggling. Some heartbreaking news that our DRS use has been outed, so that's a real shame. We won't be able to use any DRS, not that we would in the wet anyway. But right, here we go, come around the last corner. We are better on this attempt, so there's certainly some potential, but we've got to back it up around these last few corners. We've actually changed into 4th, which won't help at all, but it's going to be fairly close up to the line, and it just about puts us through into Q3 for the moment. A good lap, 6 attempts better. We've got 2 more attempts to see if we can improve on that, but we are still right on the cusp, so we're certainly not safe yet. But good signs that we set a lap time that's good in our 3rd attempt. So we've got 2 laps to go. Can we improve? And more to the point, can the guys behind us improve? Well, it was close, but we just about got through to Q3. It seems the pace of the Sabres was fairly short-lived. They've been dropped out by quite a significant amount. The Toro Rossos are both out as well, and Felipe Massa, the big shock to go out of that session, and Sergio Perez joins in. So in Q3, we've got the 6 big guns, the 2 McLarens and Williams, and a Force India. But we're struggling for pace, but I suppose new session, who knows? But it seems the conditions are even worse than before. Sebastian Vettel's on pole at the moment with a 38.1. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it was about a 34.1 that was pole before by Lewis Hamilton, so the track seems to have worsened quite a bit. Depends what our pace can be like. You can just tell straight away from how we're struggling to get out of corners. I mean, even with traction control on full, we are fighting the car, so this is a very slippy Hungary, and thank goodness it's not going to rain like this tomorrow. Let's see what we can get out of the car. We've got a few laps left in the session, just going out for the one long run. Let's see what this car is made of, but as predicted, the Red Bull is currently on pole. I do have a slight inkling that everyone hasn't showed the full potential yet, because we're just over a second up on Sebastian Vettel's pole time. I don't think we're that quick. I mean, everybody else is in the pits at the moment, so I mean, I suppose if they don't come out on track, then we will take pole, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. They're going to have to come out again. It's obviously the track's got better in grip because, well, we've been struggling before, so you can't just suddenly go from being the weakest on pace to being the strongest. I mean, we're going to be quite a way above Sebastian Vettel, nearly 2 seconds, so I would suggest that everybody's going to be a lot quicker when they come out for that final lap, but Christ, they haven't got that much time. I don't know what they're differing about at, but nevertheless, at the moment, savour that picture. I don't think it's going to last for very long, but at least for the moment, we are on pole. As expected, here they come. Our qualifying position isn't going to be great here. We just haven't got the pace in the wet. We've got a dry setup on, and I think that's hindering us quite significantly. Vettel with a 1:34.4, that's exactly what we were expecting from the previous session. I mean, we're way off. A 36.2 is our best at the moment. I mean, I suppose that a lot of people might not be able to set a lap time before the end of the session. I don't know. They might have timed it wrong, but at least at the moment, Kevin Magnussen's on the front row of the grid, so that's something to behold. But we will get 1 extra lap after this, so I guess if we push as hard as we can, we might be able to get something out of this. I'm just worried that before the end of the session, everybody will overtake us, but if you look at the mini-map, I don't think they will, because there's only 1 driver coming through that complex now. So I think everybody's left it too late. Will a McLaren get on the front row? And that's the home phone. Marvellous. Well, clearly everybody was on their laps, weren't they? So they all got across the line. And Kevin Magnussen doesn't quite make the first row. And equally, we don't quite make the second row. We qualify down in 10th. No surprise, because we didn't have the pace in the wet whatsoever. Lewis Hamilton steals pole. Only just, though, from Sebastian Vettel, but as expected, the Red Bulls are very close to the Mercedes cars, so they could well take 1-2, who knows. Fernando's next in 5th, good performance from Jensen in the wet, as usual. I've always come to expect that in Button's career. He's in 6th, Bottas 7, Magnussen 8, and we're alongside Nico Hülkenberg on the 5th row of the grid. So this is going to be an uphill struggle, but I think we've got a lot more pace in the dry. So Lewis Hamilton takes pole again. He might well increase his lead at the front of the championship. It's very much alternate at the moment. We won Monaco, Lewis won Canada. We won Austria, Lewis won Silverstone. We won Germany. Well, doesn't take a brainiac to think what I'm thinking about who might win this race. But the 5 lights are on above the drivers, and we are away for the 2014 Hungarian Grand Prix. A little bit of a bad start from Jensen Button, who's overtaken by the Williams of Bottas, and he looks a little bit racy into the first corner, actually. Not too bad a start from Fernando. We're going to go around the outside. Well, for goodness sake, they've gone way to the outside, and Alonso's trying to take us out. Jesus Christ, we've touched with our teammate, and that is not a good start at all. We just went to the outside, because on the inside you can get a little bit stuck, but a bad start for both of us. We touch our teammate again. There's a Mercedes car down in 8th place, so that is a very peculiar start for Rosberg as well. We're going to have to get really punchy past Kvyat. We do cut that corner a little bit. Perez, where are you going, Perez? Jesus Christ, round the outside, he ducks out, and we get up to 8th place. That was a bit of a mad start, but we've actually, I think, put Perez in the gravel, have we? This has been an absolutely terrible start. We've got a drive-through penalty. This is an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. I think it's Sergio Perez, the man who has gone off. No, it can't. Well, Perez is only 13th, so we've caused a collision apparently there. And we've got a drive-through penalty, which we've got to serve in the next 3 laps. This is an absolutely disastrous way to start the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've always started so well in these races, but we were boxed in by our teammate Fernando. Yes, I know it's a penalty reminder. This could be a disaster already. A drive-through penalty. I mean, to recover and just get points from here would be, well, all that good work from the German Grand Prix to win it completely undone. You have to come into the pits after this first lap and serve a drive-through penalty. And I mean, it's probably one of the longer pit lanes along the start-finish straight. We're restricted to 60 mile an hour. Everybody else could be going up to 200 mile an hour. So you would expect us to be down to last after we do this drive-through penalty. But goodness me, I don't know what happened there. We are down to last. Well, at least there'll be some overtaking action. But Esteban Gutierrez at the back, that's a bit of a surprise. Not a good start for him at all, but this is a real terrible race for both of us. I mean, we've got the Red Bulls in 2nd and 3rd. Bottas up to 4th. I said he looked racy at the start. But Alonso only in 9th, and of course, after that collision, well, I mean, a major collision. I don't see how it was a major collision. Nobody went out of the race. I felt that was a little bit harsh, but this is very much going to be a recovery drive now, all the way from the back. We've got a lot of work to do. Fernando's out. Fernando's out the race. Well, this just goes from bad to worse. This just goes from bad to worse for the team, doesn't it? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. How different this might well have been if we moved to Red Bull. God, it's starting to crumble. We won the last race. It was such a good feeling. Talk about going from hero to zero, and that's just been compounded, not necessarily from our bad drive, but Fernando Alonso is out of the race. I don't think that's anything to do with the collision that happened earlier. But this is quite interesting. I mean, Lewis leads. He's just Mr. Consistent at the moment. Even if we don't win the races, at least he's up there. That's been the problem with our title charge, really. When Lewis has won races, we've been down here or not doing very well at all. I mean, 6th place in Silverstone wasn't too bad, but you get my drift. Lewis Hamilton's never been as low as that, but this is going to crush the Ferrari team, and there might well be damage that's irreparable for the rest of the season. Who knows? The big issue with picking Hungary as a race, having to dive through the field, is that of course it's a terrible race for overtaking. It's a real struggle to overtake at this circuit. We're just going to outbrake ourselves massively, get ahead of Esteban Gutierrez and take the place off Kamui Kobayashi while we're at it as well. That was pretty good going actually to get past both of them. I was only looking to get past Gutierrez, but Ericsson's the next man. But really for the rest of the circuit, you've got to make a little bit of a dive to get through. So I think we're going to have to force our way through at the next corner, because Sector 2 and Sector 3 are really tricky to get past. We're not going to try and not take out Marcus Ericsson. I mean, it's just completely bailed up. I mean, for Christ's sake. I mean, how's that a penalty? I honestly have a feeling this is what happened the first time round, right? A drive-through penalty for that. Just because he couldn't be arsed into the corner. I mean, we've restricted him, sure. I understand that. But he's gone a little bit OTT there. So, luckily, for this race, for some races I do, for some races I don't. Luckily, I've put flashbacks on for this race. And I'm going to use that because there is no way that that was a dangerous collision. That'd be a bit ridiculous to get a penalty for that, to be quite honest. And we're just completely ruined the race. I mean, that's what must have happened with Sergio Perez. Must have done. Well, that's a bit of a flaw in the penalty system. That's frustrating now, because I did think at the time, major collision, that's a little bit harsh. And we've been penalised for the same thing now. We've just looked at it and, well, I mean, I'm not being funny. That wasn't exactly a dangerous collision of any sort, but, oh well. This is very much still a recovery job. We've got past the bottom 3. We might well get a low points total, possibly. We might get a point or two, but that might well be the maximum for today. Alright, this is where things get embarrassing. It really is. I've just checked the last lap time of Max Chilton. 26.4. Our last lap time, 25.9. He's 4 seconds ahead. The kind of driver that you'd think we're going to catch up straight away. We're only getting half a second on him every lap. I mean, 4 seconds. That's going to take 8 laps. That's nearly going to take until the end of the race. Unless we have a big upsurge in pace. So, I mean, honestly, this is just, well, a disaster. Completely the worst race of the season. I was predicting that Red Bull would win and we wouldn't do very well here. But it seems I've completely jinxed myself into doing absolutely terribly. pit stop time, then as you can see, we've not really made too much ground on Max Chilton, so we won't be able to make much ground on the rest of the drivers, but I suppose the pit stops is a way to do that. We're in a battle against Chilton. Can we get the undercut against Max Chilton? That's about the most exciting thing, I think. That's going to happen all day. But we enter the pits. Let's see how we get on. The worst first stint I think we've had as a team all season. That's fairly obvious. But I suppose no wing damage, but that extra pit stop has just not helped us out whatsoever. We've definitely gained some time, I would say, on the guys ahead. A good outlap, and we might be able to jump the next guy, Max Chilton. But, well, the pit lane's on red. We shouldn't really have left. Don't know why that's a thing. That should have been fixed. I'm just pointing out all the game's flaws today, aren't I? I mean, with that stupid penalty we got, and the fact the pit lane light was on red. It'd be brilliant if everybody else didn't leave the pit, but we didn't get a penalty for leaving. That would gain us some time at least. But that objective for 7th in the next half a race, I can't see it personally, but who knows? Safety car, whatever might happen, it certainly would improve our prospects. I mean, anything would improve our prospects. They can't get much worse. Let's see then, the big test. Can we get the jump on Max Chilton? Goodness me, this is really exciting stuff, isn't it? There is Chilton, just coming out of the pits. And we perform the undercut on him. Lovely. Absolutely excellent. Maldonado's up next. He's only a few seconds up the road. We've jumped Max Chilton in the pits, everyone. That is something that's... Oh, God. I can't even believe we're... I don't think I've muttered the name Max Chilton much in this series, but I've done it about 5 times though. That just shows how bad a race this has turned into. Oh, somebody spun. Well, 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 well. I haven't seen that one for a long time. I think that's Maldonado, isn't it? Or is it the other loads of Romain Grosjean? Like for the... yeah, Romain Grosjean spun. Well, never seen that before. That's an interesting one. God, this race is throwing up everything new. But, you know, now, get another place here in the pits. Who's this from? This is from Kamui Kobayashi, who started on the prime tyres. We're up to P16. The 2 guys above us are scrapping. So P14, who knows, might be able to get into the points. I mean, Jules Bianchi to be in 14 is an absolutely tremendous achievement. Fair play to him. That's, well, unbelievable. Brilliant stuff. We haven't battled with Maldonado too much this year, have we? But we're right on his tail now. And we're going to go full Maldonado. No, we're not. We're going to go full Maldonado on Maldonado. But there's just not enough room to go around there. And then we're battling with Bianchi, which we get past Palta Maldonado. Right, okay. Interesting. Once we get past Maldonado, we will be on the back of Jules Bianchi. But you just can't overtake through this section. Albeit, actually, they've gained time on us through this section. At the end of sector 1, we were right on the back of past Maldonado. But now... we've struggled a little bit, but we have got the DRS to try and get past Maldonado. It'd be great to get past both of these in the one straight. We can potentially target points. We'll have, what, 7 laps after this one to do it, so it's going to be a tight squeeze, but I suppose who knows. Right, DRS should be on. This should be a nice and easy overtake. Go on the rich fuel mix just to make sure of it, and just put our foot down. Maldonado's also got DRS on Bianchi in front. Going to go up the inside, both of them. And that's 2 places well made. Good stuff. We get the DRS again to pull away from those 2. It's amazing. I just can't... well, Jules Bianchi, I mean, yeah. Just a little moment to pay tribute to him. I still can't believe he's gone. I mean, it'll be 6 years since the crash this year. And very nearly 5 years since Jules has left us. Quite unbelievable, really. We don't battle against Jules in this series. So it's one that we rarely think about. But 2014 doesn't feel like such a long time ago, but goodness me, it really does when you think about someone like Jules. Crazy, it really is. Well, with 4 laps to go, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do much more. I've just got a message that we're gaining a few tenths on Sutil a lap, but that is really about it. What a disaster this race has been. P13 might well be able to get up to, but no points for us, no points for Fernando. You presume, to be fair, that one of the teams out of Williams, Force India and McLaren will get a decent points haul today. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think Lewis is still leading this race. I haven't looked for a while. I want to surprise myself at the end. But it's fair to say we haven't been in it. And it just would have been one of those races where we could just consolidate, myself and Fernando, and get 5th and 6th and be done with it. One of the races where we ain't got much pace. But Fernando out at the start, and with that drive-through penalty, us effectively out of the race and certainly out of contention. So with 4 laps to go, we've just got to drive this thing home and just take any more opportunities if we get them. Coming up to the final lap then in a race, I think it's fair to say we can well, fairly easily forget. It's not a memorable one like the last race, but it's just amazing how we've been so inconsistent recently. It's just been up and down, up and down. The highs have been really high, winning 3 races in Monaco, Austria and in Germany, but the lows have been really low. We had a big chance in Canada to go and win the race. We mucked it up on the final lap, and here it was mucked up right at the start. Maybe that strategy to go to the outside was wrong at the start, but ultimately, if we would have qualified better, we wouldn't have been in that situation. We wouldn't have been in the midfield where things can happen. Our penalty was a little bit questionable. If we'd have not had that penalty, we'd have been a good 20-25 seconds up the road. We'd have at least got some points. We were getting up to 8th place. We had to surrender that. We went all the way back to the bottom of the field, and I think to recover, knowing that we didn't have the best pace all day, to 14th place is not bad at all, to be quite honest. We made up 7 places from a really tough position. Remember that we weren't right on the back of everybody when we come out of the pits. It was quite a way to be made up, and even though those cars were quite slow, we can't make a mug of the rest of the field. But Lewis Hamilton wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, so in the last 6 it's free for us and free for Hamilton, if that's right. He won in Canada, yep, won in Silverstone, has won here, so quite unbelievable to think that. I think he must have won the Spanish Grand Prix as well. So Rosberg has maybe only won, what, 1 race this year? That's quite incredible to think. Wow, that's a start and a half for you there. Daniel Ricciardo's won 1, so Rosberg might well have won 2. But anyway, we come across the line. It's not a celebration by any means. We've just driven this car home, and an absolute disaster for the team today. No points whatsoever. 14th for us and a DNF for Fernando. It's not a good way by any means to finish the first half of the season. Absolutely shocking, but wow. Wow, look at that result. Sebastian 2nd, Bottas 3rd. A podium for Williams. Wow, and even Ricciardo beats Rosberg, so Rosberg loses another 15 points to Hamilton. That is quite amazing. So that leaves the championship looking like this. The Red Bulls have definitely taken their chance there. Lewis Hamilton, 11 races in, has a 71-point lead on Rosberg. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. We've obviously dropped back. Ricciardo and Vettel now ahead of us. Alonso drops back as well. But Bottas, no surprise, is the face of the rest of the pack at the moment. Williams, amazingly, though, still not ahead of Force India. Remember, we were, I think we were 7 points ahead of Red Bull coming into this, so that's a real turnaround. But not a good race for us whatsoever. We've got a lot to build on in the next few races. But luckily, I don't think Spa and Monza are particularly Red Bull's forte. I think Monza's definitely a chance to get that back, but thank God it's a summer break. We can erase this from our minds fairly quickly and move on to the next race in Spa. But that was very much a race to forget for the team. Well, we got our result against Fernando. That's purely because he didn't win. Because he didn't finish. But that is a little bit of a shocker. I mean, I guess we get the teammate challenge for this race quite nicely because we outraced him, etc. We got a fastest lap here, so that's helped us out. But that is a bitter pill to swallow. Rain forecast again on Saturday for the Belgian Grand Prix. That'll certainly be interesting, but that'll be race 12, and that'll be brought to you in the next few days on Tuesday. So if you've enjoyed this race, I know it's a little bit tricky to think that, but I mean, final standing on form being 7th is a little bit harsh in the championship. Goodness me. I mean, we've scored, what, 75 points, 83 points in the last 6. Which isn't too bad. I mean, we're certainly not going to finish below Valtteri Bottas, are we? So, don't know where that form is coming from. But there's only 20 points separating Daniel Ricciardo and Fernando Alonso. Only 31 separating Rosberg and Alonso. So, this battle has a long way to go yet. We're certainly not going to win the title. Nobody's going to beat Lewis Hamilton. He's going to win it quite early, actually. 71 points ahead. 8 races to go now. So, remember, it's double points in Abu Dhabi as well. So, 9 races. What's that? 175 points. So, well, he's going to win it very early on. Let me know down in the comments when you think Hamilton's going to win the championship, because it's inevitable he's going to win it now. Quite unbelievable. I'm looking forward to the next race. I love the Belgian Grand Prix, and hopefully you guys will too. But as I said, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to leave a like down below, comment your thoughts as well, and subscribe for regular Formula 1 content on Tuesday and a Saturday. But until the next time, thank you very much for watching, folks. I've been TIJ Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now.